So now we're going to create some lights in our scene and do some lighting. Right now, if I press 7 on my keyboard, you'll see that everything turns black because I don't have any lights yet. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave it like that for now, and I'm going to show you 3 different lights, and you should be able to accomplish nearly everything you want, if not everything you want, with those. And certainly for this class, it should be sufficient. So I'm going to go to my Create menu and go to Lights. And the first one and most common one to use is the directional light. The directional light is a light which points in a certain direction. It's like a very far off light source. For instance, like the sun in comparison to the earth. It's so far away that it only has one direction. It just all the rays of the sun hit the earth at the same angle. Okay, and so it's represented by this icon here of 3 arrows. And anywhere like I say, it doesn't matter where it exists, it just matters which direction it's pointing. So I can point it a different direction. You can see the lighting in my scene changing based off of that. Okay, so we'll go for like a late afternoon or early morning by putting it on a low angle. Okay, it's hitting all those objects from the same side. I'll go ahead and test it out in my renderer. And there it is. It's a fairly nice render for nothing. Okay, now that's about all there is to that light, except the lights have certain attributes. Now, the main attribute that I want to point out is you can set the main 2 attributes, I should say, is the color and the intensity. So I can change the color that this light shows. So I could pick green if I wanted to, and that's going to make everything look like it's turned green in my scene. And I'll go ahead and render again. Okay, so now with the green light, everything is turned green. Let me save that. Let's see here. Let's see if I'm forgetting how to store an image. Okay. Okay. So now I'm going to change this back to white. We'll do another render. And that's what it looks like now. Okay. So there's with the green light, and there's regular. Keep in mind my objects are gray, and that's why they look gray. Now, but I can also play with this intensity attribute, and by default it's set to 1. And I could increase this to 2. I can kind of see it getting blown out in my scene. But I'll turn it up to something dramatic, and I'll keep this image, and I'll render again. And this time I've got a really bright light source. Okay, there it is at 1. There it is at 4.118. And there it is green. Okay, so we'll store this one. Okay. Now those are the 2 main attributes I want you to notice. Those are the ones that will be important on all the lights. There'll be one more attribute that will be important on, but it doesn't exist on this particular type of light, the directional light. Now, I'm going to turn this back down. I'm going to turn it to 0.5, so it's pretty dark. Go ahead and re-render one more time. So there it is, rendered with intensity set to 0.5. Keep this. And I'm going to add another light to the scene. So I'm going to go to Create, Lights, and this time I'm going to create a spotlight. This is the next most common light. This is kind of like a light bulb or a stage light, as long as the light is off the view of the camera. Okay, so it's not, you can't see it in the picture. It's off the picture. It's outside the frame. Okay, don't feel like I'm choosing those words very well, but okay. So if I move this one up, you can see it start to affect these objects. Okay, now something that's really nice when you're playing around with these lights, and it does matter where they exist and where they're pointing. It matters how broad they are. If you press T on your keyboard, it'll take you to a new manipulator. Let me turn off this heads-up display stuff. And I could make this point to this location. So I'll just have a point here in the center. And now, no matter where I move my light, it's going to point at that spot. That can be really handy. And again, that was by pressing T. But you'll see this little dial looking icon, the light blue icon. If you click that, it's going to take you through a few different options. Okay, and to be totally honest, I can't even remember what that one does. But the one I want to point out is this one, and I can change the size of the penumbrum. If I'm thinking correctly. Yeah, penumbra, or actually that's the cone angle. Sorry. Now I can adjust the penumbrum this way, and that's the fall off. Now anything inside this circle is going to be its maximum brightness, and then it's going to fade off to the outside edge of the cone. Okay. And so you can set these two values here as well. Now we also have what's called a decay value. And most of the time you don't need decay. But this is going to make it fall off at a distance from the camera, or distance from the light to the surface that it's hitting, based off of the intensity and a few other things. But basically it's best to think of it as intensity. So I could set it to linear decay, and you can see how everything gets dark again. And in which case I'd have to turn up the intensity to get it back up. Or I could set it to quadratic, and it's going to get even darker. And then I can't even make my light intense enough, not with the slider. So I'd have to enter a new value in here. I can enter a value of 50. And now it starts to get a little bit lighter, and I could increase it up to 100. But say that's still not enough. I could say, well, a value intensity of 200. And I can increase that. And now I've got a quadratic decay rate. Okay. So those are some other important attributes for lights. So let me render with this light. And there's what it looks like now. Okay. So let me save this one. Oh, I didn't mean to click that. Okay, let me save this one. So there it is. I changed my view. I shouldn't have changed my view. Okay, so it's looking better, maybe. We don't really have a goal right now, so it's hard to say. Okay, now